Good evening and welcome to Rapid Report, your trusted source for in-depth political analysis and global affairs. Today's report examines a highly sensitive and closely watched political development unfolding at the highest levels of the United States government. It is a story that blends reported leaks, expert interpretation, and strategic analysis, and one that is generating intense discussion in Washington, among international partners, and across financial markets. According to several political commentators and analysts, recent events may signal a quiet but significant shift in internal power dynamics within the U.S. administration. At the center of this analysis is the evolving role of Vice President JD Vance, following remarks made during a private donor meeting that were later reported and widely interpreted by political observers. It is important to clarify from the outset. What you are about to hear is analysis and interpretation, not a declaration of established facts. At Rapid Report, our mission is to provide context, perspective, and responsible analysis, helping viewers understand the deeper forces that shape political decision-making beyond official statements and headlines. In this report, we will explore the political meaning behind private remarks and leaked recordings, the potential impact on internal governance and institutional stability, how donors, markets, and foreign governments may interpret these signals, and what this could mean for the future direction of American politics. Before we begin, we invite you to subscribe to Rapid Report, activate notifications, and support our work by liking and sharing this video. Your engagement helps us continue delivering independent, thoughtful, and in-depth political coverage. Now, let's begin today's Rapid Report. A new wave of political analysis is igniting debate across Washington, global financial circles, and foreign capitals, following claims that Vice President JD Vance has effectively broken ranks with President Donald Trump, triggering what some commentators describe as a soft coup from within the administration. At the center of the controversy is a leaked audio recording from a private donor meeting in Ohio, in which Vance is alleged to have criticized a high-profile ICE raid, framed himself as a corrective force inside the government, and subtly signaled to donors, markets, and international partners that he, not Trump, is now the administration's stabilizing figure. The video commentary presenting these claims blends political interpretation, speculation, and strategic analysis, portraying the moment as a historic inflection point, one that could reshape the White House power structure, the Republican Party's future, and even U.S. global diplomacy. The alleged Julius Caesar moment. According to the narrator's framing, this is the moment J.D. Vance crosses an invisible red line inside Trump's political universe. Vance, long viewed as a disciplined loyalist who evolved from Trump skeptic to trusted partner, is portrayed as finally breaking ranks publicly, even if indirectly. The catalyst, analysts argue, was the ICE raid on Holy Grace Tabernacle Church in Dallas, an operation that reportedly involved the use of tear gas in an environment where children were present. What makes the moment explosive, according to the analysis, is not merely Vance's criticism, but his language. In Trump's White House, the word mistake is effectively forbidden. Yet in the leaked donor audio, Vance allegedly describes the raid as both a mistake and an operational failure. To critics and supporters alike, this single word signals something larger, a break in the chain of absolute loyalty that has historically defined Trump's inner circle. The leaked donor audio, a strategic pivot. The political storm intensified when audio from a closed-door donor summit in Ohio reportedly surfaced and was leaked to major media outlets. In the recording, Vance is said to acknowledge that the administration had lost control of the narrative surrounding immigration enforcement and public perception. More strikingly, he allegedly tells donors that he is stepping in to prevent further political and economic damage. The narrator interprets this not as damage control, but as positioning. By speaking directly to high-value donors, many of whom influence markets, lobbying networks, and foreign confidence, Vance appears to be reassuring elite stakeholders that there is an adult in the room, capable of restoring predictability amid what he portrays as administrative chaos. The fact that donors themselves reportedly leaked the audio is framed as significant, an indication that powerful backers wanted the message heard widely. White House fallout and internal fracture. According to the video's claims, the response inside the White House was immediate and furious. President Trump is reportedly said to have privately referred to Vance as a snake, accusing him of betrayal. The situation escalated when Trump allegedly summoned Vance back to Washington, a directive Vance is said to have ignored or delayed. The narrator frames this standoff as a power struggle. Trump cannot easily win. Vance, as vice president, holds constitutional authority, deep donor backing, and growing institutional support. Unlike previous aides or cabinet members who were dismissed or sidelined, Vance occupies a role Trump cannot remove without triggering a constitutional crisis. Tech billionaires and market signals. One of the most controversial claims in the analysis involves Silicon Valley power brokers, particularly Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, both of whom have past ties to Vance. According to the narrator, these figures allegedly pressured Vance to act in order to stabilize markets unnerved by political volatility and aggressive enforcement optics. Shortly after the leak, markets reportedly experienced a modest rally, which the analysis interprets not as coincidence, but as a signal of investor confidence in Vance's perceived pragmatism. The implication is stark. Capital may already be voting. 25th Amendment speculation. Quiet leverage. The commentary goes further, arguing that Vance may now possess the political leverage to invoke Section 4 of the 25th Amendment, which allows the vice president and a majority of the cabinet to declare a president unfit for office. While no formal action has been taken, the narrator suggests that cabinet members are quietly aligning and that the real power lies not in dramatic announcements, but in institutional drift. This is framed as a slow-motion constitutional confrontation, not a sudden overthrow. Religious right realignment. Vance's criticism of the church raid is also portrayed as a calculated appeal to evangelical voters. By framing the raid as a moral and operational error, rather than rejecting immigration enforcement outright, Vance is said to be offering conservatives a way to distance themselves from Trump's excesses without abandoning the MAGA movement itself. The narrator argues this opens a critical off-ramp for religious conservatives who are uncomfortable with escalating tactics, but remain deeply committed to nationalist policy goals. Foreign governments and the shadow presidency. Perhaps the most geopolitically significant claim is that foreign governments are already adjusting. The analysis alleges that European diplomats have begun reaching out to Vance directly, bypassing traditional White House channels. This is framed as evidence that allies are hedging, quietly preparing for a future where Vance, not Trump, is the primary decision-maker. The narrator describes this phenomenon as the emergence of a shadow presidency, where power is exercised informally but effectively. Bureaucratic drift and the mechanics of a silent coup. Beyond personalities, the analysis emphasizes institutions. Federal agencies are allegedly slow-walking Trump's directives, interpreting them narrowly or delaying execution. Meanwhile, Vance-aligned figures are described as gaining quiet influence over implementation and messaging. According to the narrator, this bureaucratic inertia, not dramatic confrontation, is the real mechanism of the so-called silent coup. 2028 and the end of the Trump-Vance ticket. The video concludes with a bold claim. The Trump-Vance political partnership is finished. In this framing, Vance is no longer positioning himself as Trump's successor in waiting, but as Trump's replacement, offering a more disciplined, technocratic, and internationally palatable version of populism. The narrator argues that Silicon Valley, major donors, and parts of the national security establishment now see Vance as the future of the Republican Party. Turning point or political theater? Whether these claims prove accurate or overstated, the analysis underscores a growing perception. Power inside Washington may be shifting in ways that are subtle, institutional, and largely invisible to the public. If true, this moment could mark not just a personal rupture between two leaders, but a redefinition of how modern political power changes hands, quietly, incrementally, and without tanks in the streets. For now, the situation remains fluid, contested, and deeply consequential. Rapid Report will continue to monitor developments. From loyalty to legitimacy, why this moment is structurally different. What makes the alleged JD Vance-Trump rupture uniquely dangerous for the president is not personal disloyalty. Trump has survived that many times, but the transfer of perceived legitimacy. Historically, Trump maintained dominance by controlling 1. The party base, 2. The media narrative, 3. Institutional fear. The leaked donor audio, as framed by analysts, represents the first credible challenge on all three fronts simultaneously. Vance does not attack Trump's ideology. Instead, he questions Trump's capacity to govern effectively, a far more corrosive critique. In political power struggles, competence challenges weaken authority faster than moral ones. By labeling a major enforcement action an operational failure, Vance shifts the debate from loyalty to functionality, where Trump is most vulnerable. The importance of stepping in, language as a signal to power. Centers analysts emphasize that Vance's phrase, stepping in, is not casual language. In elite political communication, such phrasing functions as a signal flare, a coded message to donors, senior bureaucrats, military and intelligence planners, foreign governments. It implies that a parallel chain of command already exists or is ready to activate. The narrator argues this moment mirrors past elite transitions, where the appearance of continuity matters more than formal authority. Markets, allies, and institutions do not wait for constitutional clarity. They move towards stability. Why Trump's anger may be strategically irrelevant. Trump's reported fury, including branding Vance a snake, is politically symbolic but structurally weak. Unlike former aides, Vance cannot be fired, controls Senate relationships, holds constitutional succession power, has independent donor networks. More importantly, Trump's anger confirms the narrative of instability Vance is allegedly warning against. Each public outburst reinforces the argument that Trump is reactive, while Vance is managerial. This asymmetry matters. In internal power struggles, the side that appears calm usually wins institutional loyalty. Cabinet dynamics, silent alignment versus public defection. The analysis suggests that if a Section 4 scenario were ever triggered, it would not begin with public dissent, but with private non-resistance. Cabinet members do not need to openly support Vance. They only need to stop defending Trump, delay execution of controversial orders, privately coordinate contingency planning. This creates what political theorists call negative consent. Governance continues, but presidential authority erodes in practice. According to the narrator, this process may already be underway. The bureaucracy as kingmaker. Modern governance is not controlled solely by elected officials, but by career institutions. The article's analysis argues that agencies respond primarily to predictability, legal cover, career survival. If Vance is perceived as the likely future authority, agencies will pre-align with him, not through rebellion, but through interpretation, compliance, speed, and selective urgency. This is how a silent coup functions. Orders are not refused. They are absorbed, slowed, reinterpreted, or diluted. By the time authority is formally challenged, the outcome is already decided. The religious right. Calculation, moral language as political bridge. Vance's criticism of the church raid is particularly strategic because it introduces moral language without rejecting enforcement. This allows evangelical leaders to condemn specific tactics, preserve ideological consistency, transition loyalty without public rupture. The narrator argues this is crucial because religious conservatives act as legitimacy multipliers within the Republican coalition. Once they signal moral discomfort, donors and suburban voters follow. Foreign governments, why allies move early. Foreign governments are described as pragmatic, not ideological. Diplomats reportedly reaching out to Vance are not choosing sides. They are hedging risk. In diplomatic planning, early access to a potential successor is standard procedure when leadership volatility appears. What alarms analysts is not the outreach itself, but its timing. Before an election, without formal transition. During an active presidency, this suggests foreign capitals may already believe real power is fragmenting inside the U.S. executive branch. Silicon Valley's strategic bet. The portrayal of tech billionaires backing Vance is less about ideology and more about governability. Silicon Valley historically favors stable regulatory environments, predictable foreign policy, crisis containment. The narrator frames Vance as the technocratic upgrade, someone who can maintain populist rhetoric while restoring operational coherence. This does not mean Trump is abandoned. Rather, risk is being diversified. The 2028 horizon, succession without revolution. The deeper implication is that this may not be about removing Trump immediately, but about rendering him transitional. If Vance becomes the de facto stabilizer, donors shift funding, media reframes leadership, institutions pre-align. By 2028, Trump may still command rallies, but not the machinery of governance. This is how modern power exits, not through confrontation, but through irrelevance. Final assessment. A coup without a countdown. The narrator's most provocative claim is that no single dramatic moment is coming. There will be no tanks, no speeches, no constitutional announcement. Instead, authority will continue to leak sideways, from charisma to competence, from spectacle to administration. Whether this analysis proves accurate or exaggerated, one conclusion is clear. The center of gravity inside American power may already be shifting. To conclude, what this analysis highlights is not simply a disagreement between political figures, but a broader reality of modern governance. Power today often shifts quietly, through institutions, perception, and alignment, not just through public confrontation. Whether the developments discussed represent a genuine realignment, a strategic repositioning, or an overinterpretation by political analysts, one thing is clear. The internal balance of power within the U.S. executive branch is being closely observed, both domestically and internationally. In an interconnected world, signals sent behind closed doors can sometimes carry as much weight as official announcements. Markets, allies, and institutions tend to respond not only to authority, but to perceived stability and continuity. Rapid Report will continue to monitor this situation carefully, providing measured updates, responsible analysis, and clear context as new information emerges. Always with accuracy and editorial integrity as our priority. If you found this report informative, please like the video, subscribe to Rapid Report, and share it with others who value serious political analysis. We also welcome your thoughts in the comments. Your perspectives are part of the conversation. Thank you for watching, thank you for your trust, and we'll see you soon for another edition of Rapid Report, where global events are explained, analyzed, and put into perspective.